Hey guys, it's Haroon here with YEGnation. We're here in Edmonton. We're around the Mutard Conservatory. I'm here with Mike Butler, who's a mayoral candidate, and he wants to represent you guys. And on October 16th, you guys come out and vote. It's very nice to meet you,
Nice
Mike.
to meet you as well. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So the first thing I want to talk about is because I'm here with YEGnation. Our main mandate is to try and get young people out to vote.
Yeah.
How do you plan to get young people involved with, municipal politics, get them out to vote, and, interact with the city?
So I guess I'm going to use my little props to start with. So we've been going around to all the schools across the city. I've been to the University of Alberta, I've been to Grant MacEwan, and I've been to NAIT, and I've been engaging with students on the LRT as well. And it's important that we connect with those students and young people on their ideas. And so our whiteboard we had going, people were just writing in different colors their ideas and what they thought were the most important issues. So I think it's important that we connect with people and collaborate. If we don't ask them what they feel and what they think is the most important thing, they're not going to care, right? If we're just talking to them, not talking with them, unfortunately, that's not really democracy in my opinion. So that's what I'm doing. I'm doing my best, but we'll see how it goes, right?
For sure. So yeah, obviously you need to engage the young people, try and bring them out. So, you're running for a mayoral candidate. We have an audience that may not know what the issues are in Edmonton. Mm-hmm. They may not be very well involved. So maybe talk about what you think are the biggest issues in Edmonton and what your platform is, what you plan to do about it.
Sure. Yeah, so the most important things that have been coming up in consultation with everyone, LRT is number one, top hot button issue. Right now, the LRT is needed to be expanded. People are asking for it to go to the north side. They want to see it go to the west end, but they also want to see it done correctly as well. So ultimately, we've been going on ground with most of our LRT stuff, but they have done below ground. So finally, with the new Millwoods line, where I live, by the way, it's going above grade. And so that's something I advocated for last election, and it's something I continue to advocate for right now. A lot of people like that idea of it going over cars instead of through traffic roadways. The mayor right now seems to be against motor vehicles for some reason. I don't know why. I'm very much for electric cars and the progression into a green economy, but we have to pay attention to the way our city's designed and the way people get to work. And if it's taking them an extra half an hour or 20 minutes to get to work because there's barriers in their way or they're stopping here and there, it just it's making people aggravated, right? And then the students and the young people that use the LRT love it. They think it's amazing, but they like to see it expanded more. They'd also like to see more cars in the morning so that they're not jam-packed like sardines. Word for word, that's what they've asked me to say. Yeah.
I know the feeling.
Yeah, right?
Feeling.
I love the LRT. I'm a very strong advocate for it, but we have to make sure we're doing it right. And especially if we're going to be running it all the way to West Edmonton Mall, which I'm very much in favor of because West Edmonton Mall is one of our most amazing places in the city. We have to make sure that we're not stopping traffic, right? We're not going to be putting barriers up for people that are trying to get to work on time and that enjoy just driving their car. So that's my number one issue.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about?
I have lots of things to talk about.
Well, please go on. Everyone would love to hear it, right?
Yeah, I don't know how long they want to listen to me talk.
As long as you want.
So affordable housing is a big thing for me as well. I actually spent my own money last year. I spent 3 weeks in Ottawa. I was lobbying the federal and the federal housing minister, Minister Duclos. I talked to Amarjeet Sohi as well, our infrastructure minister. I met with a bunch of MPs and lobbied for support for Edmonton to make sure that we could get a lot of the funding that we're getting right now. So it's something I very passionately am for. I do have a history, and that's kind of the thing that got me into politics was mental health care and addictions treatment. And I want to make sure that we're building affordable housing structures and units to support people with those issues, but also support young people that need housing. We want to make sure that affordable housing is built with wraparound services, with paramedics, EPS, job services placement, and all these places that and opportunities for people to grow their lives instead of just get stuck in a rut or just kick back to the street. So that's a major plank for us. There's all sorts of other stuff that I like talking about. Do you have any other things that you've been hearing. I think it's important for us to engage with other people as well.
Well, one thing is everything you're saying is very expensive, and so we have to worry about budgeting and
Most
whatnot.
definitely.
So
Yeah.
if there's anything, if you have experience on that, or if there's anything you want to say about how you would plan to run our budget, or how you plan to manage Edmonton's finances, because we're all paying taxes to try and make this city great, but we have to do that properly. So what kind of experience do you have, and what are your plans to make sure that we are running a balanced budget?
Okay, so I think that's an amazing transition into what I'm holding into my hand right now. So this is the 2017-2018 operating budget for the City of Edmonton. I've been going over it with my team. So we're actually running with other candidates in conjunction with my campaign. We have 6 or 7 other candidates that have committed to working with us. And so as a team, the other candidates, and some incumbents by the way, are deciding on making sure that we spend money appropriately. The law is that you have to have a balanced budget. You have to. So there's been talk of borrowing money to get projects like this done, making sure that we can borrow at an appropriate rate to invest in infrastructure that we need to do. And also lobbying is a very, very strong component for the mayor and for city council. We have to make sure that we put pressure on the provincial and federal level governments to take care of Edmonton, right? We're a strong base for them. We support them in a lot of good things they're doing, but we have to make sure that they listen to Edmonton's voice. And as a mayor, I think that is an important thing to do. Our mayor, Iverson, he's very quiet in the way that he lobbies. He doesn't really speak up publicly very much on issues that would go against the NDP, for example. And I think it's important to have a collaborative effort, but sometimes you have to put your foot on the ground and say, hey, this is something we really passionately care about and we need support for. So that's back to the budget, I guess, instead of ranting. It's important to understand the budget and to look at the numbers. There's actually some really interesting stuff that we came up with. I want to point it out here. So we put circles around it, and it's the automated enforcement budget. So there's actually a number here. If you look at it, everything adds 3 zeros at the end. So it's $55 million is the budget for automated enforcement. So I'm assuming, and I've been doing research on it, but I'm assuming that's photo radar and the machines downtown that you park at, the parking meters, and then a lot of it's personnel ticket takers that go around and taking money from you. But essentially, the cost is $51 million, but the expenditure of the program is $51 million as well. So how does that make sense? So you're telling me you're collecting all these taxes and money just to operate the program. To me, that's something that needs to be talked about, right? It needs to be talked about as a big budgetary item, but also talked about as why is it so important to be taxing and ticketing people in a recession when they need support, right? And why is it so important to be raising the budget or the property taxes, which is 3% every year, to run programs like this, to afford to pay for programs that aren't really helping people, in my opinion. A lot of students actually ask for free parking or affordable parking because their tuition money is going towards parking their car to get to school, right? So I think we got to help people out. The bike lanes downtown, I'm a very strong supporter of biking. I used to ride, I think that's kind of why I like this area so much, because when I was a kid, I used to ride my bike from Millwoods all the way down to the legislature. We 5 or 6, 10 of us all riding down these trails. We loved it. It was amazing, And when this mayor said, I'm going to put bike trails in, I'm like, that's the mayor I want. And then all of a sudden, we ended up with these bike lanes down the middle of the roads where there's no parking, And so I feel having a dedicated bike corridor, like the way of old, is the way to go, right? It's safe for kids, it's safe for adults to ride. But to be driving down the middle of the street, I don't think it's safe. We don't have to be competing for the same roadways, right? We can have dedicated corridors for bikes, we can have dedicated corridors for cars and parking, and we can have a SkyTrain that goes over top of everything. We don't have to compete on the same roadway for all the same stuff, same infrastructure. And I think that's visionary planning, but it's also experience. We have to know, I keep on ranting again here, sorry. We have to know how to build things correctly, I have 20 years of construction experience. I've built over 100, 200 houses in my lifetime. And that's not as the big boss, that's as the worker guy, And I still do construction. And I think it's important that we have our hands-on experience and also knowledge to build these things appropriately and having the right people involved. So that's why I feel it's important for me to step into the ring and speak about these issues that people are talking to me about, and let democracy take its course. You know, listen to people, share the ideas, and have fun doing it.
Sweet. Actually, I have one question. So
Sure.
you have that budget on the sheet, but is it available for someone who wants to know
Most
more?
definitely, yes.
Where would they go for that?
Yes, so the City of Edmonton website has all of this stuff. It's a little bit hard to read because you have to add 3 zeros to the end of it. It took me a while to figure that out. I had to call 311. How do you interpret this? But that's how it works. So there's a bunch of other stuff on here that you can look at yourself. And I would love you to comment, send me a message on Facebook or Twitter, and tell me what you want changed, right? I want to make sure that you're connecting with what we need done in the city, and that we can be democratic about it. You know, making sure that your points of view and your opinion, because it's your tax dollars that are being spent on appropriate things.
Okay, so actually there are quite a few people running for mayor right now. So what do you think sets you apart from all of the rest of the crowd?
I would say experience. I actually just finished going to political science at the University of Alberta for the last year. I thought it was important to go back as a mature student and brush up on my skills and connect with youth, connect with the the professors as well, and share ideas, right? Because democracy is about sharing of ideas and understanding the different demographics and the different positions of other people in our city. So I feel that's it's a big bonus for me to refresh on my skills and do that. But also 10 years in politics. I've run provincially and federally before. I've had big campaigns pushing for the SkyTrain last election, and I think it's important that people with experience step up and use that experience. I enjoy it a lot. I love talking to people, and I worked really hard this summer to do this now. So it's important for me to step in the ring and do it.
Awesome. Is there anything you want to say to anyone who's young out there, on the fence about whether or not they want to go and vote, or they're not sure which candidate to go at? Is there anything you want to say to that crowd that's like a lot of us, not sure if they really want to put in the effort to go out and vote?
Yeah, I'd say definitely engage. Meet the people you're talking to, meet the little wasps flying around, and making sure that it's important that you connect with the people that are supposed to be representing you. There's some great speakers. The mayor is a great speaker. He's a great communicator, and he has a great way of connecting with people. But what has he done? What has he actually accomplished in the 12 years he's on council? I don't like criticizing people, but the 10-year plan to end homelessness started 10 years ago, and he's been on council for every one of those 10 years. So the fact that they've only reached 30% of their target, I think he needs to wear that and be responsible for a lot of these unfinished projects that are around the city. It's important to be responsible for the things you started. And if you don't finish the things you started and you keep on starting new things, nothing gets done appropriately, and everyone suffers for it. So
That's right, everybody. Hold your government accountable. Go out and vote.
Please.
October 16th. Make sure you do it. So this has been actually a real pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
I appreciate it.
All right, everybody.
See you guys later.
See you.
Cheers.